If there's one quality that I think you need in life in order to be a happy and successful person, it is self-belief. And this is something that especially Gen Z, I feel like, struggles with immensely. We don't believe in ourselves. And this could be because of different reasons. Sometimes we grow up in environments where people literally tell us every single day that we're not good enough. Maybe you had parents who didn't reinforce you when you did something well. Maybe you were always yelled at. Maybe you had a sibling that always, put you down. Whatever. There can be different reasons why right now you're struggling with confidence and you're struggling with self-belief. The thing is this, a lot of the times, something in the past causes us to feel the way we feel in the present, right? So something happened to us, now we don't believe in ourselves, and we kind of, think about the past and think, oh, I wish this would have been different. I wish that I would be more confident. If only I had this type of, childhood, then I would feel different now, blah, blah, blah. I really want you to realize that that is true. Yes, the past has shaped you, but at every single point in your life, you can choose to change. And if you still struggle with confidence today, it is not just because of your past. It is not because you were bullied. It is not because your parents treated you a certain way. It is because you're not choosing to change. You can change every single day, every single minute, every single hour. And if you really feel like you're not confident right now, I want to just give you some tips today on how to build confidence in a way where it is actually real confidence and where it will actually change your life for the better. Okay, so building self-belief. What does self-belief even mean? People think that confidence comes from achieving things. People think that confidence comes from looking in the mirror and, liking what you see. But that's not necessarily true. First and foremost, confidence is knowing that you can do the things that you set your mind to. It's the belief in oneself, the belief in your own ability to follow through with your plans and the things that you set your mind to. This is what you need to realize. Confidence comes from action. And if you want to build confidence, you need to start acting. Most people in our society right now are stuck in a state that is called learned helplessness. It's been extensively researched. I've linked some sources below. Basically, it is connected to depression, this learned helplessness, and it's basically the belief that you can't influence the outcomes in your life. You can't influence what happens to you. Rather, you're just stuck. And this often comes from growing up in environments where you really couldn't change anything. You know what I mentioned earlier, if you were bullied, for example, a lot of the times you didn't do anything to be bullied, right? A bully usually picks someone out randomly and chooses to bully that person. So that you couldn't change or that you couldn't influence. And your brain learns that you can't influence what happens to you. Same goes for having a rough childhood where a parent would always put you down. You learn by that because as a child you're helpless, right? You live in that household and you are forced to endure whatever is being put on you. And then your brain learns that you can't control what's happening. But as a grown-up, right now, you can actually change what's happening. And this belief that you can't is outdated. So how does this learned helplessness manifest? Usually, it is what is really like an indicator that you're stuck in that state and that you believe that you can't change what you do is when you're procrastinating. It's when you're avoiding things that you know you want to do because you're scared or you think you're scared. Maybe you also think you're lazy. But what really underlies this a lot of the times is that you don't believe that you can do it. It's the belief that if you try, you're gonna fail. And because you're so scared of the failure, and because you're also so certain of the failure, you don't even attempt it. And so you tell yourself you're lazy, you tell yourself that you don't really want it. Maybe you don't even dare to ask yourself what you want because deep inside you believe that you can't achieve it, that you can't have it. So procrastination, avoiding things, scrolling through TikTok all day long instead of doing stuff, instead of actually living your life and doing things in the real world. These are all signs, not that you're lazy, but rather that you don't believe that you can change anything in this world. And this is so wrong. You can literally do so much more than you think you can do right now. Let me tell you, I've used to be in this mindset as well. And when I stopped thinking that I couldn't change, that's when I started changing. But this is what you have to realize. This avoidance, procrastination, being stuck in a passive state destroys you long before failure could ever destroy you. Because a lot of times we're scared of failing, right? But if we're not even trying, we're not even putting ourselves in the position to fail. So how do we change? So maybe you realize now through this description that you're stuck in this state of learned helplessness, and you ask yourself, okay, how do I change, How do I get into this active mode? How do I stop believing that I can't do something? You have to fake it. And for this, I would recommend you to start really, really small. Start by writing out what you want to do in a day. A to-do list is great for that. And start ticking off these things. Start with tiny things. It could be something like really deep cleaning your room, doing your laundry, doing things that you've put off for a long time. Bringing away bottles or something like that could also be something. Really, it sounds ridiculous, but start small. And then, write down what you want to do and then tick off the things that you did. So this will do something in your brain. Taking off something from this to-do list, doing something that you've set your mind to earlier will release dopamine. And this action proves, or taking action and doing the thing that you set your mind to will prove to you that you can actually do what you set your mind to. You get a dopamine peak every time you do something. And then your brain sort of starts to register, okay, we just achieved that goal that we set our mind to. Maybe we can even do something bigger. Maybe I can go on to the next point on that to-do list. And this little peak of dopamine that you get from doing a task, no matter how small it might be, registers. So we all always have a model of ourselves. Basically a representation of ourselves. And if you're stuck in learned helplessness, this model of yourself basically represents, or what you have as this model is that you're someone who can't really change. But once you start doing the stuff that you set your mind to, this model is updated. Your brain is constantly adapting. And if you start doing the things that you set your mind to, if you start following through, if you start writing out a plan of your day and then actually sticking to it, your brain's representation of yourself will have to update. This reinforcement of doing things, of ticking off these tasks on your to-do list will strengthen your persistence. It will start building habits, Once you do this every single day, for example, cleaning your room every single day, making your bed every single day, going to the gym every single day, your brain will eventually start to believe that you're a person who does that. You're a person who goes to the gym. You're a person who does their duties. And this will actually update your belief in yourself. This will strengthen the belief that you have in yourself. And this will start building confidence, because this is what confidence is. You believing that you can do what you set your mind to. And for this, you really have to start small. And a lot of the times we feel overwhelmed, right? We feel like there's so much to do and we don't even know where to start. But the best way to cope with this is not starting to scroll and, doing something else, distracting yourself with things that you don't really need to do. The best way to face overwhelm is to take on the tasks that you've been putting off. Because there's this thing where tasks that you don't really finish, they keep lingering around in your head. But as soon as you can tick them off, this will reduce your mental load. This will actually reduce the stress that you experience. So the only way to reduce that stress is to actually start taking action. So your mind becomes less cluttered. by doing more. And this is something that we often feels unintuitive, right? I'm so stressed, I'm so overwhelmed, I don't want to do anything. No, this is exactly when you need to do stuff. And this is how you build confidence, through that. Imagine being super stressed and then going off, writing a to-do list and ticking off the tasks, becoming less and less stressed with every box that you tick. This is what creates confidence, because it teaches you that you can deal with situations that are stressful, that you can deal with situations that are hard. So, the worst thing that you can do is breaking promises that you made to yourself. It is, quitting early, avoiding difficult tasks, not even attempting what you want to really do. It's not just the positive stuff that updates your model, it's also the negative stuff. So when you keep putting stuff off, when you keep avoiding, when you keep being too scared to face the things that you really want to do, say you want to really apply for a job, but you're just too scared and you think that you can't do it anyway, this will also update your belief that you have about yourself, and it will create a model or create the belief that you're a person who just quits, that you're a failure and that you're a loser. And what you do shapes who you are. So you have to change what you do in order to change who you are. If you are able to do the thing that you set your mind to, this will update the belief and the representation that you have of yourself, and this will ultimately change your life. I hope that you guys could take something from this video, and I see you guys in the next video. Bye.